What is up, my fellow pack? I don't know. Okay, so let me preface. I don't know if this is the finale, but if it is, I'll have to do research before I upload this video and title it. But absolutely love this episode. I think this is going to be our first 10 out of 10. Okay. Again, as usual with the show, there's not much to talk about because it's kind of just the same back and forth scenes. You know, it's mainly fighting episodes. So basically, the goal of this episode was to get Midoriya, or Deku, up to All for One, or Shigaraki. It's confusing because they call him Shigaraki, but Shigaraki's soul is dead, so it's All for One. It's confusing, but they get him up, or they're supposed to get him up, and everybody is helping him, which that's why this episode is a 10 out of 10 for me. I'm happy it isn't just Deku beating up All for One on his own. Everyone is a team player. This episode, loved that. I loved that it's not just Deku alone, because it's clear that if Deku was fighting on his own, he would absolutely be dead. But I rip on the idea of the power of friendship saving everybody, but it works for this show. Because the enemy is the equivalent of a god. And we're talking about a god versus a teenager. No, he's not a teenager anymore. A skinny, frail boy, broccoli head, versus the devil, basically. Tell me who's gonna win in that situation. But so this was awesome. Aizawa patches Deku up and puts him in an All Might shirt, which great symbolism with that one. And then Aoyama, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, takes Deku by the hand and then throws him back into the fight. And then Deku just starts beelining it towards All for One, and everybody's helping him because All for One is trying so hard to use his, I don't know what it's called, bendy screws. That's the best way I can describe it. He has mechanical arms. If you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. But he's trying to shoot his tendrils at Deku, and everybody is blocking it. And Shoto and Endeavor shoot fire at All for One. And we get a scene that cuts back to after Dobby is defeated, which I wish Dobby would make an appearance. That would have been so cool if just, I know it wouldn't make sense, but it would have been so cool if Dobby helped defeat All for One. He just appears out of nowhere and shoots fire, because let's be honest, if Dobby did help fight, the burns would have been way too big. I'm sorry, but I think he's the strongest fire wielder. I think. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, that weird tangent, but oh fuck, what's his name? See, this is the issue when I focus on other characters. I don't remember, because I was so focused on the Todoroki family. that I wasn't. But now that I actually focus on like characters like Deku because it's the final season. I'm like, oh shit, side characters don't matter to me. That's not what I'm saying. What's his name? Fuyugami is the sister. I don't know. The brother, the second oldest brother, tells Endeavor that, bro, you need to get back into the fight. I get that you're hurting and everything, but you still got a little bit of fight left in you. Don't be trash. And then he's like, shit, you're right, dog. Daps him up. That didn't happen, obviously, but then Shoto's like, yeah, I'm coming too. We have to do this together as a family, even though you're leaving behind your family, but it's whatever. So yeah, and then they basically hurt and help All for One. And then Deku makes a final jump with the help of Ida, which I thought was so cool. Because Ida was the first, roughly the first person that accepted Deku despite being quirkless. So that's cool. So he helps him up, and then that makes the final jump. And Deku's about to get there until the purple portal guy tries to stop Deku. And I was about to fucking rage, brother. I was about to lose my shit. Let me tell you. Because I swear, if the portal guy made Deku go through the portal into just some random place, and we would have to get another episode of All for One, I would have just rolled my eyes and it would be way less interesting. Because I'm sorry, there's only so many times somebody can get hit to the near point of death and then come back to where I'm just like rolling my eyes. But then Bakugo helps Deku get to All for One. And it was just awesome. Even Shoto helped Bakugo get to Deku. It was awesome. So then Deku lands the punch, and All for One starts decaying, right? Because, you know, obviously, you land the final punch, you kill the bad guy, right? Somehow, despite literally crumbling to dust, All for One's like, nah, bro. And wakes up, his eyes dart open, and then he uses his quirk to nail himself together. I was about to scream, dude. I'm like, you can't do that. I'm sorry. But even God probably wouldn't be able to do that. If somebody somehow found a way to kill a god, they could not just be like, no thanks. No thanks. Death not for me. That's essentially what All for One did. He was like, yeah, no, bro. We ain't done here. I forgot. Ooh, hold on. It's blanking on me. How did Deku land the final hit? Okay, but anyway, Deku hits him again, and then that's the final blow. You would have seen a new side of me if he somehow survived the next punch. But the next punch that Deku lands, it transfers us into the spiritual realm, where Deku and Shigaraki are talking. So Shigaraki was still in there somewhere, and they're like bro fisting as they're talking, which was crazy. I was worried that somehow Deku lost all for one, or one for all, and that's why it was showing Deku's hand without like the aura around it, because I thought that as Deku was going to punch, he ran out of one for all's energy, and I was about to lose my shit, brother. But no, it's showing that Shigaraki and Deku are just having a heart-to-heart one final time. And Shigaraki makes one final request. If Spinner is still alive, tell him that I destroyed the world until the very end. And bro, kind of sad that he didn't mention Dabi. Like he didn't say, hey, and also if Dabi's still alive, tell him that I tried. Nobody ever mentions Dabi, bro. I'm sorry. I'm a Dabi Glazer, okay? You expect this from me now. Dabi's my favorite character. If there's any villain that needs to become a hero, it's him. Anyway. And then we get the scene of a flash of light, and then All for One's dead. Everybody's looking up at Deku. Episode ends. Oh my god, this was an amazing episode. Just everything was peak. Even though I do rip on that it took so long for All for One to die, even though I riff on it so much, I like it because it shows that the villain isn't just some small creature, that he is the equivalent of a god in the MHA universe. I like when shows do that. I like when shows upscale the villains so much that it makes sense for the character, for the main protagonist to be hurt. Because up until now, Deku has only been fighting like street level villains and getting hurt to the point where I say, bro, just get up. Stop being a baby. You can even ask my girlfriend. You can ask literally anybody who knows that I like MHA, and I've always riffed on the fact that Deku just always gets knocked out of the fight because he's too hurt. Brother, look at Bakugo. He's still fighting and his chest was caved open an hour ago. Look at Dabi. He was burnt alive to the point of death, but he still bounced back. I'm sorry, there's no excuse for Deku to be knocked out of a fight. But for this fight, it makes sense. Because he is fighting a literal god. This is the first time I'm going to say Deku was badass. When I saw Mineta go flying into the air, I'm going to be honest, I was rooting for the villain. I was like, fucking kill him! Impale! Like no, I'll be nice. I'm glad Mineta's not dead, so that I can bully him a lot more. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. If Mineta was not a character, Deku would have been the worst character, in my opinion. But Mineta stops Deku from being the worst character. I'm sorry, I just do not like pervy characters. They're funny, for the most part. Obviously, it's not going to be funny if, like, you know, they go a little bit too far with the perviness, but sometimes they can give me a good laugh. Mineta just makes me uncomfortable, bro. Not only that, but he also looks like a child, which I've never understood. How does he have like dwarfism? Is that why he looks like a kid in a high school or college, whatever? Made no sense to me. But I don't think this is the season finale. Because from what I hear, we're supposed to get a time jump. So the next episode might be the finale. If not, I'll absolutely change the title and everything. But they left, if they do leave it off with Deku just defeating All for One and that's it, I'm gonna feel empty. But no, this episode was amazing. Next episode, I don't think is going to be as good, just because it's probably a tying loose ends episode. It's going to be like a episode where they clean up and everybody's congratulating Deku, and then time jump, we see the heroes older. I'm going to tell you, if Bakugo does not have a beard, even just a little bit of scruff, I'm leaving. I'm kidding. But yeah, sorry this episode took so long to get out. I was just dealing with a lot. You know, it was my final days of my work thing. I forgot what it's called. Transition program. Where it's like transition from school to, you know, being an official adult. And I wanted to do hard focus on my friends. So, didn't upload for a couple of days. But now, the grind is coming. I have nothing to do until I get a job, which, let's be honest, it's going to be a while until I get a job. Hope maybe like a couple of months. I'm hoping it takes a couple of months. It might take a fucking year. Who knows? But until then, uploads will be faster because I have a lot more me time than I used to have in the past couple of months. That's why the beginning of this year, uploads were like rapid fire, and then randomly they just started slowing down. I'm hoping to get back to maybe daily uploading. I doubt that I'll be able to daily upload, just because like the last 3, in terms of like drama and stuff, the last 3 months of a year aren't exactly, you know, they don't offer the best videos that I can make a quick video on. But anyway, that was my review of My Hero Academia season 8. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And yeah, stay mad, y'all. I'm trying to find a way to make my outros interesting rather than just asking you guys for stuff.